man.
Sounds good.
Cool. Well, I'm the man behind the idea. I'm Berger. I'm from Denmark. I'm very, very grateful and honored to share this space, this time, this talk with Thomas and Andrea. I'm gonna introduce them, and then they can introduce themselves. I've shared this Thomas's website, where you can see that he's very much into the cold, and he's also done the best cold plunge in the world. And Andre was also on the call, has had the privilege to meet 3 years ago, and heard about his idea of making a record in the ice, full body exposure to your neck in ice. And I had some experience. I tried myself to make a record, but I was too old. I wanted to swim to Sweden in the middle of December in my short, and I start training, and it's like I didn't have it anymore. And then I found Andre, and thank God I don't have to freeze. Maybe he can that much, and maybe he can dwell a little on my experience, and we can help each other. And again, when you do stuff together, you become stronger. And Andre went all the way, and he did it all by himself. I was fortunate to be part of it and just helping with my knowledge that I got from Wim Hof. And that's here. And yeah, let's start talking. And I can also show you, people who are listening, this is Andre Belibi's site, and you can contact him for mindset and coaching. And also, this is fairly new. We're going to do a workshop together in Poland on the famous Mount Śnieżka, the hometown or the home area of training by Wim Hof. So, and we're going to do that in February. So, yeah, so we're into this together, more or less, into the cold, and that's our common ground. And Thomas, you have the academic part. We need that. We need academics, scientists to really drill into this, and also cut through all the stuff that's only nice to know. I'm really focused on what we need to know, and like we just talked about with Andre, he's doing this because it's too important to keep this to ourselves. It needs to be shared so other people can see that there might be something about this cold and this breathing and the mindset that comes along. So I don't know if that was an introduction enough. Thomas, can you introduce yourself shortly, and then let's take it from there and talk about mental health, or how we can help each other.
Sounds great. I'm an engineering professor at Arizona State University. And so during the COVID lockdowns, my classrooms were shut. We were teaching everything over Zoom. It's not really what I signed up for in my teaching career. And I decided I was going to do something different with the rest of my academic career. I was deep into infrastructure resilience and the environment and disaster recovery. And COVID, even though it wasn't an infrastructure disaster per se, not like a hurricane or a flood or something, it was a mental health disaster. It left the Americans in a state of crisis. Life expectancy has plummeted. In the US, it peaked in 2014. And in particular, the mental health related causes of death, whether that's suicide or drug overdose, they have gone up through the roof since the lockdowns. So the question for me as a civil environmental engineer is, what can my profession contribute to ameliorate this mental health crisis? And most of my colleagues in engineering say, oh, that's not really what we do. You got to leave that to psychiatry. You got to leave that to psychology or to medicine. And I think most of my colleagues are wrong. I think that we can build the machines and the technology that give people a better chance at creating the conditions their bodies and their brains need to recover from the loneliness, the isolation, the trauma of the lockdowns and other things that have happened in their life. So this is what I do now. I build these ice bath machines because I'm more concerned about the psychological resilience of the individual than I am about the infrastructure resilience of the steel and the concrete and the glass and the highways and the pipes that used to be the focus of my study. So it's wonderful to meet Andre, because I saw online that he's planning a run across Alberta this winter to draw attention to this crisis that in mental health, and to hopefully inspire people to find reservoirs of strength inside themselves that they didn't know they had.
So like my name is Andre Belibi, I'm an extreme athlete, mindset coach, and personal trainer. I created my concept called Chase Your Worthy Cause, which is a 3-pillar concept. I don't have a PhD or I don't long like university background, but what I know, like what I try to do at my humble level, I learned from books. I learned from like books about the power of the subconscious mind, which I apply on myself. I learned from my friend Seager here, and who told me a lot of a lot about like the breathing and things. So I'm really I try to learn as much as possible. I did run across France to Africa in 2018 to pay tribute to my father. Was an immigrant from Cameroon, and I did run across the state. I ran from New York City to Los Angeles, affiliated with USA for UNHCR. Then after this, definitely, I was in Arizona actually, a big part of the lockdown. After I was in LA, my friend of mine was a university professor at Riverside University in California. But after I went to Tucson, and after I went to Phoenix and Tucson. So I like Arizona. It's one of my favorite states in America. And it's funny because when the lockdown happened, then like you were saying, Thomas, there were lots of the war went to shock, and I gave a bit of speech because my friend, he was in Tucson. Is it University of Arizona? Or was different? I forgot.
There's Arizona State, which is in Tempe near Phoenix. This is where I teach.
Okay.
And then there's University of Arizona in Tucson, 2.5 hours south of me. And before I moved here, I used to get them confused.
Okay. So yeah. So University of Arizona. So that's where my friend there was working there a bit. So he got me to talk to some of his classmates. I mean, his students. Anyway, then after that, then after that, like running across America, I went back to, I went to Switzerland, and I tried to. I used to work in a ski resort. It's pretty famous. It's called Zermatt, and people were like estates there and everything, real estate. And I was like, why not just finishing creating my concept, like I told you, Chase Your Worthy Cause, so which is like a seminar as well. Then I told them, like, to the people I used to work for, you guys have beautiful hotels here. Why don't we do some kind of retreat services? You have like Olympic athletes, like, because they go train like 14,000 feet. You have snow, a glacier all winter long, and I mean all year long. So I was like, it would be great. You can come here, or whoever wants to come here, you can promote it and stuff. So I was really excited. I was really excited about the idea, but for some reason, those people over there, they went cuckoo, and I don't know, sometimes the humankind can be well sick and stuff. So I got really depressed. I had a lot of hard time with depression before, but I realized I got really depressed, and like as a pro, I consider myself as a pro athlete, even if I'm not registered in the Olympic committee or whatever. Then afterwards, I plunges, and it was very hard. I didn't feel welcome there and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, what I'm gonna do? So I'm a personal trainer, so I start training a bit of people, but I developed this interest for ice bath. And Wim Hof method was all at the time, now it was like all of there, and I was like, why not? If I run across the States and Europe to Africa, why not starting to do for an ice bath, like starting ice bath. So I start to do ice bath. My friend introduced me to it, a lot of breath work as well. And then after I start taking people in January in the in the lake, in the high elevation, and anyway, so I kept on going. I'll be short. Then afterwards, in 2021, I was like, why not training for a world record? And that's when I met like Bridger, and we started talking, and right now I've been doing the world records, and yeah, just to show the power of the mind for a good cause. That's what I push. That for an higher purpose, for a reason. That all of us have different talents, but I help people to bring out their talents and to put it to service to the world, of course, to themselves, because we got to help ourselves first, but to service to the world, and yeah, and to do amazing things, you know. And if you told me 10 years ago I was going to do an ice bath thing, plus like 4 hours and 5 minutes and 20 seconds, 1 ton of ice, I was going to tell you, are you crazy, man? You know, but
What was that time
yeah,
again? How,
4 hours, 5 minutes, and 20 seconds. In like
2
10 seconds.
hours, 5
4
minutes,
hours. 4 hours.
4 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The record is now 4 hours, 5 minutes, and 20 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's going on? So what's going on? Like, we have submitted evidence to Guinness World Record. We're still waiting to be certified. But for me, hopefully, it will come. But if it doesn't come for me, you know what? I don't care, because I have all the proof of all the material, everything from A to Z. And as well, I submitted. It will be good if you come with Guinness, of course. But I submitted as well to a place called Town Record Book. They're based in India, and they still register. They're not be as big as Guinness, but at least, you know, I'm registered somewhere over there. And there's a lot of you know, there's a lot of you know, there's a lot of media and stuff, and yeah, so yeah. And as well, I mean, I'm gonna run this winter with my friend, but I'm even thinking of maybe in February doing a race across Wyoming, because when I ran across the states, maybe that's when I develop a passion for the cold a bit. In Wyoming in February, it's a bit like Alaska. You have winds where like you get down to minus 30, minus 40. So maybe I'll do a part two, but and after that race across Alberta, maybe I'll do a part two. My friend, if he wants to, but to come in Wyoming and let's say run from Laramie to Evanston or something like this. Anyway, I stopped talking for me.
Andre, I have a lot of questions about your 4 hours up to your neck in ice.
For sure, of course, of course,
Shoot.
of course.
Will you tell me a little bit about the mental journey that is involved there?
Well, the mental journey, you know, it's a lot of acceptance. That we've been talking with Bridger. There's a lot of acceptance. I used to be, was, although it's warm, it's warm, it's warm. No, it's not warm, man. I was like, it's freaking ice. You know, people usually, I mean, a bit of scientific reason, I'm sure, like, we are training and things like this, even after 15 minutes or even 40 minutes, you can die, right? I think, if you're not trained. I mean, you know better than me, that I do, but a lot of the mental is like a lot of acceptance and the cause, you know, like you override your brain with the cause, you accept it, call it fire, mindset, faith set, or whatever it is. You know, we're not here to talk about religion, meaning I believe in God or whatever, I believe in the universal higher power, but that higher cause in your brain is gonna push like an engine, you know, like how the heck do you explain back in the day? I mean, if you tell like a plane, which is like 200 tons, flying close to the speed of sound at like 40,000 feet, you must have like that like that key piece in the component of the reactor who can push machine. Or in France, for example, you have like the TGV, high speed train. How do you explain like close to 300 ton, 500 ton, moving half of the speed of sound? I have a lot of passion for, you know, for physics like this. And or nuclear power plant. You know, how do you explain a reactor? I'm sorry. How do you explain a nuclear reactor going? You know, you have that piece, because my father used to be a welder in a nuclear plant all over France. So yeah, so you know, it's so I mean, all of that stuff, right? That definitely, that cause a bit by training, it will definitely help you to keep on pushing, and that's what I did. Because obviously, when I thought, you know, I've been training for 3 years as well for that record. I mean, 4 years. 4 years I discovered, in 3 years I started to train hardcore, and Bridger was there, but literally I was like this. I was my own like rat lab. Because I mean, I started training, you know, in a garbage bin with like, you know, the ice that I got from a fish market, the ice which is chipped. And I put like coarse salt, and the water dropped to like I put like 1 ton of, I mean, no, 1 ton of ice, not, come on, 1/3 of ice and 2/3 of water, and I plus like close to 1 pound of coarse salt, and the water was like, and I put the thermometer there, and the water would say like it's -1. I mean, like minus 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is like, you know, like 28 degrees, 29 degrees Fahrenheit. So bit by bit, acceptance, and yeah, and just the cause really kept me on going. And definitely as well important because in 2021 I had a breakup with my ex-fiance, which was really hard. I was supposed to live actually in Ohio. We're supposed to plan to go to Colorado because I like that state a lot. And things didn't work out. So I went back to France, go back to point zero again, and 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 it was really hard for me. I'm like, what I'm gonna do with my life? I left everything Switzerland. I go to there, and I was like, I really thought, that's why I say suicide prevention, because I'm not, I'm not gonna lie, I was really close to kill myself because I have a daughter, so it can sound selfish, but it is what it is. I was in a lot of suffering, mental pain. But that's why I'm like, I need something to shock me, I need something which is hard because the cold is merciless. The cold will kill you if you mess up, The elements always will be stronger than you. So that's why I definitely decided to, I need something which is strong. I need something we can help me in there. I'm gonna lie. After belief, after prayers, like the cold and the breathing really helps. So yes, if it makes
Were
sense.
you monitoring your core body temperature during your world record run in the ice bath?
The record will be next year, right? But
No. While you were in the ice, did you have a core temperature measurement?
We're monitored there, like with the there was an ambulance there. We're monitoring the core temperature. We tried to get some pills, we made sure the core temperature but we didn't. So what we had instead.
Fell out. So how did start? You have to start over. How did you monitor your temperatures and your biomarkers?
Yeah, so there were medical services there. Ambulance was there. So EMS were there, and they were literally one of the guy was there, and they just monitored through like a thermometer, laser thermometer through the head, and as well through like to check my heart rate, and as well for the first hour they monitor my carbon dioxide level, and as well, although they were talking to me, asking me like a question about cognitive, because it's not because I think apparently at one point, close to my head, my temperature dropped to 30 degrees Celsius, which is pretty low. It's in the head, but still pretty low. But like I was making sense still. My brain, I was making sense. I was aware and stuff. So yeah.
So when you were progressing, pardon me, when your core body temperature was dropping and it gets as low as 31 degrees C, they wanted to engage you in conversation to assess your cognitive function, to see if your brain was becoming foggy.
Yep. Correct. Yep.
And you stayed cogent and clear in your communications?
I stayed clear as the water from coming out from glacier water.
So even in a hypothermic state, your training, it sounds like your training prepared you to maintain mental clarity even while your core body temperature was dropping.
I will say for sure, Thomas, 100%, because even when I was training I did a race in Switzerland or French Alps, I was running like close to 8 hours at like 25, 20 degrees Fahrenheit, 8 hours, only short wing shoes. And I was in hyperthermia stage 2 even, because I start to get up and stuff. So I train more. Yeah, I train the mind a lot, and I'm like, if the mind can handle. So I tell myself, of course, I mean hyperthermia. Then obviously, you're still a human being. So if you push your level, then you're gonna go into shock and you're gonna die, right? But like sometimes I push close to the edge for sure. But definitely, the training helped me to, the training helped me to accept the hypothermia. Oh my gosh, it's not because I'm in hypothermia. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. But so I know the limit. But I was at time to hyperthermia stage 2, because like I go back, I put my head down, I put it up, and I'm really, and I feel like my pattern of speech start to be really full, and I'm like, okay, And I wanted to train more at that time sometime, but I'm like, no, this is the limits. Like, you know, my heart telling me, because you have the ego, you have your heart. That's what I want to train people. Well, a bit of ego, a bit of the heart. But which should lead you is your heart, not the ego. So that's where I stopped then. But I know, yeah, I go definitely in hyperthermia for sure.
What was your decision to get out like? You're measuring this to the second. And there must have been a moment when you said, okay, I'm ready to get out. Or were there some medical criteria? How did you know when you were done?
Well, really good targeted questions, Thomas. What happened is that I remember when I trained in 2023, when I trained, I did an ice bath, only ice and water. It was like, water was like probably between 20, 29 degrees Fahrenheit to, let's say, 34, 34.5, 35. I stayed in the ice water for 1 hour and 31 minutes. And a bit before, because it was extreme and I never need that before, it was a record for me. Then I start to see, like, you know, in your ears, you have your balance, you know, and everything, like impairments. Yeah. And I started to feel my head going like a swing. Boom, 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 boom. A bit like back and forth, you know, like I was going sideways, but I'm still, that was like, it's a bit hard. So in that one record, at 3 hours and 44 minutes, there's more stuff like we can talk about, but like close to 3 hours and 45 minutes, I knew, because the record before I broke it was 4 hours and 2 minutes, but 3 hours and 45 minutes, I had the same feeling. You know, the ice is up to my neck, and I'm sure with you, your balance impairment and everything up to you is with your ears, right? And I know, like, I'm been in the ice for so long, so my hypothesis is that I start to be affected, but I start to feel my head going like that, and I was like, whoa, and I was like, oh, I'm reaching the edge here. So even told to my team, I didn't tell them that to make them panic or make them worried or whatever, but in my head, I'm like, and I even tell out loud, hey guys, I'm only gonna break the record by a few minutes only, and we will stop there. So yeah. So yeah.
What was it like when you came out and now it's time to rewarm? How did you rewarm?
Well, I mean, how the rewarm? I was a bit. What a rewarm. When I came out, I was a bit like, I knew what my spirit was there, but at the same time, I was definitely a bit in shock and a bit like in myself. I know that I'm fine. You know, I know that I'm fine. I know that I'm okay. But a bit in a less deeper version of myself, and the outside, I was a bit like a child who's scared or, you know, panicking a bit, and was like, I couldn't walk because my hip flexor was like charged with carbon dioxide, so much carbon dioxide, so I couldn't walk. So they had to carry me out of the box. And even I remember when they dig me out of the ice, I was like, I'm gonna fall, and I was a bit like nervous and stuff like that. But I mean, I was okay. And if I fell, there were like 3-4 people behind me. So, but then afterwards, it was a bit. I was there, but I was a bit like, definitely, I was into like a little state. I won't say between life and death, but there was definitely no as clear 100%. And they put me on the stretcher. Then I went to the ambulance, and it took like a good hour. And it took a good like I'll say an hour. I was with a friend there. They gave me a bit of noxious gas because when I was, you know, on the stretcher in the ambulance, I was running side to side. I was like, in pain, you know, and yeah. So then after giving the noxious gas, then after a while, then it took me a good hour to warm up. Yeah, and after, you know, that stage, the after drop has passed, but I still was a bit after drop. But that was an hour. But definitely, you know, it was I was fine. Yeah.
Did the ambulance take you to a sauna, or did you have blankets or a heater or red light?
Yeah. There were blankets. You know, there were blankets. I was inside ambulance was like probably 78 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 degrees Celsius. So they have a few blankets and stuff like that. So yeah. Because they didn't want, of course, I'm sure, like as we all know, they didn't want to, if you warm up the body too quickly after hyperthermia, cold blood going to your heart, you know, you can go into shock and die. So progressively, you know.
So you took a little over an hour to rewarm. Sorry, Berger, go ahead.
No. Burgers, that's something that comes out of McDonald's. I'm Berger, but by the way.
Berger, right.
No, but again, Andre, 1 hour, only 1 hour with 25 degrees Celsius, approximately with a few blankets. You didn't have to do anything. That
No.
means that you are very, very well adapted. Your thermogenesis is through the roof. Because normally, you see Wim, when he does his birthday present, he goes directly into the sauna. So he doesn't want to go through that hardship as you've been through, like letting the body do what the body is capable of. And because you've been training so long and so clever in my book, that you talk about pushing the limits, but we talked about pushing the limits beyond. So, and going back to your experience, I took notice of what you said, going from the ice bath into the ambulance. You were scared like a little child up here, but inside you were A-okay. That inside and that outside is still part of you, but that's, I think, is what intrigues me, and that's why I've invited you to co-work with you, because that part in there is very, very hard to reach. That little part where everything is okay. The unconditional love is what I call it. The unconditional part of you that loves you, that are safe. How can you get in there without going in for 4 hours ice bath? I get there in deep breathing sessions. But how to get in there, man? That is your worthy call. That's your cliff or your gift to the world. How can you find a place in there where you're always safe?
Well, I mean, yeah, of course. And what I say, I mean, what I discovered, because I didn't create nothing. Huh? I didn't create anything. I just put things together. But what I'll say is like, you're worthy because your talents, because all of us have talents. You know, you have talents, Bridger, you have talents, Thomas. All of us have different talents. To be teachers, to be scientists, or to be whatever it is, to be singer, to be politician, to be whatever it is. So we all have talents. We gotta find it. It's like an equation. So if you have your talents, then plus a goal, which is gonna help you to like to what I said, to chase your worthy cause. So that talents, passion, then plus a goal that you have to it, will help you to go deep into it. Will help you to go deep where you like, when you think even yourself like, I'm never gonna get there, but I'm gonna get there. You know, it's like that infinite gift that all of us have. You know, yeah.
When did you find yours?
Well, I
Talent
find
or
mine.
gift?
It keeps on coming, you know, because I'm not like, okay, it's here, I know it all, you know, whatever. No, it keeps on coming. But I found mine, I believe, in 20, like after I ran across America, because I could see that people, for no reason, they hated me when I work in Switzerland, for example, for no reason. Because of course I'm not perfect, of course I make mistake, but out of nowhere, you know, they start to like be like freaking like wolves, or they could say that was a threat, or they're just jealous, you know. So in 2020, in 2021, in the winter, that's where fall winter 2021, that's when I know that, you know, I'm not like everybody else. And you just gotta accept it, because if you don't accept it, it's gonna make you suffer mentally, physically, whatever. So I'm like, I'm just gonna accept who I am, and you accept it how I am. And if you don't accept me how I am, it's just too bad. But as well, and it's something that you have to work at it, because it's not for granted. It's really important, right? And like, for example, yesterday I came back from a mall and I was a bit tired, and I just had a vision right now that this is your calling to do extreme stuff and to contribute in a positive way to people, to help people with their mental health or whatever they struggle with your gift. Yeah.
Nice. That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A lot of people ask me, Andre, if they should stay in the ice bath long enough to shiver. And you've been in the ice longer than anyone else in the world. Did you shiver?
Of course. Yeah.
Was that 4 hours of just for you?
It's like, yeah, I mean, it's like when I do the thing is, I'm sure all of you know here that it's different between ice cubes and ice and water, right? Because, you know, you have your full body exposed. So definitely, when I'm in the ice right now, you know, it's better. I did an ice bath actually, but let's say the peak of the training, at 25 minutes in ice water, I started to shiver a bit, and I control more my shiver, because when I was in 2021, when I met Bridger, and I started doing those 1 hour 11 minutes or 21 minutes, after 25 minutes 15, I started to go like shiver, like I felt like the garbage bin when I was gonna tip over, I'm gonna fall. So yeah, and I still shiver, of course, a bit in the ice bath, because I mean in the ice cube only bath, because you saw me a bit like I was like close, I was like the lips were shivering a bit, but less, and I tried to control it.
Tell us a little bit more about the difference between ice cubes and ice water.
Well, for sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, when you in the ice cube, like I mean, ice water, it's like your entire skin is covered, right? What is the biggest organ in the body? It's this, the skin. So, so all the receptors in the skin, everything is covered. Then it's this full contact, and I believe is it like I think is it 25 to 30 times that when you ice water you lose heat rates, you know, like 35 to 30 times faster. When in ice cube, no, all your body is exposed, right? But definitely after a while, when you stay for that long in the ice in plus 2 hours, like it might be creepy, because you join, you think that okay, at first a bit it was like, oh, if I can stay 30 minutes in the ice, it's like 1 hour and 31 minutes out of coach. I mean, if you can stay 1 hour and 31 minutes, you can definitely stay in the ice cube for, you know, for 3 hours. Yeah, sure, of course. But after a while, though, you know, stay human being, and that and what's about that ice cube all around you, and not only ice and water, but only ice cube, is that it creeps on you, right? Little bit by little bit, it sucked the life out of you. So, so I believe I'll say I agree with him, but also right now, I've been doing an experience. It's also really hard as well, because yeah, like it keeps like bit by bit, because you're just going down. Maybe you don't go down like this, but you go down like this. And after more time goes, you go down like you just plunge, you know.
Your feet, they were elevated, so your feet weren't covered in water, in the melting water, right? That was drained somehow, so your feet were not covered in water.
Yeah. The box wasn't 100% hot waterproof and stuff. So yeah, so like so yeah. And the temperature though was like 12 degrees Celsius when it started, and it dropped to 9 degrees Celsius because it was a big storm. Maybe we can talk to you about it, but it was a big storm. The attempt almost finished and stuff because people were a bit scared and things. But like, yeah, it was then after it was 9 degrees Celsius the temperature. So yeah, close to like 30, maybe 48 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was not that cold. There was a lot of rain, hail, storm, thunderstorm. I was like, what the heck is going on here? It's like the elements were testing my perseverance.
Yeah, you know? They wanted to be part of it, to test you that little extra bit for the universe, the course of the universe, eh?
Yeah, to say, okay, you want it, let's see how bad do you want it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's your cold practice like now, Andre?
Well, yeah, I still practice cold. I do ice bath. Like, for example, I did an ice bath this Sunday for like 20 minutes. Yeah, I'll still practice, still cold shower. It's Canada now. It's not like Arizona, of course not. Depends where in Arizona, because in Arizona, in Arizona in the mountain, it can get cold because I went through there, right? But it's still right now the tap water going to be like the heck, probably, like probably 30. I mean, like 40, like maybe 55, 54. So I take a little cold shower, and I still take, but I didn't take as much as before. But I'm gonna start training back. So like what you got on Sunday, the weather was like 3 degrees Celsius, was like 38 degrees Fahrenheit, and I was like, I sit for 20 minutes. It was like, woo! I was like, my fingers start to,
Was that your first ice bath after the record? Or how was the first first ice bath after the record? Could you feel there? Because we talked about that in the beginning, safety. How to make a safety protocol that can develop over time, and so you're 100% sure that you're not overdoing it too quickly. So how, compared to that, how was your first ice bath? Was it like, no, never? Your body was like kind of, or was it? Yeah, how was it?
It was okay because I did an ice bath for 30 minutes, you know, it was okay. It was fine. But I gave myself, not right away though, I gave myself a lot of time to recover because my kidneys were sore for like a week, you know, and my shoulder, even with a bruise, they were sore as well for a while. So,
Okay.
so my first ice bath was fine, but it took me a good like 2 weeks, then two weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks before I took the first like ice bath. Yeah, so
Okay.
to recover.
Cool. Because I'm thinking about, we're talking about mental health, and PTSD is something we're also going to delve into because we all have experience with it somehow. And so I'm just thinking, because this is a shock to your system, but because you have prepared it, your mindset is ready for it, and you do it for a bigger cause, a worthy cause, then it might not. As I just looked up before before you guys joined in on your talk about, or your article, Thomas, about PTSD with what's he called, the comedian Carney,
George Carlin, the late George Carlin.
the
Yeah.
late George Carlin. He really told us how he saw things, and I like that. So it's really like, and you mentioned Peter Levine, because why don't you get a PTSD or an aftershock or an after work after a car accident? Because I let my body react naturally. I react naturally, and it's not natural to go 4 hours and 5 minutes and 20 seconds. It's not natural, and it's not normal, Andre. But because you didn't overdo it, you prepared. And I know you. You did this with unconditional love. If you have felt this is too much, you would have gone up. Your body knows that. Yeah.
Yeah, because like what we talk about, right? Like you were the worthy cause. All of us, you know, it's to tap into that light, into that connection. And one of the breath work, for example, you know, like everybody, they can have a bit of a psychedelic experience because of DMT and stuff like this, you know, being released through the pineal gland and things.
Yeah.
And as well, a lot of people did like I've been doing like I'm pushing being more of the workshop now because you know to make a living too, right? That mindset work, breath work, and ice bath. A lot of people do the breathing. All of them here, they are like they breathe. They're gonna see like a warm purple lights. Some people start crying, and a lot of people. So different group. So it means that definitely that like that. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I don't know what I'm getting lost here, but like it's to tap into that deep self, that deep self. You know,
that's
the real self.
That the real, exactly, it could be the real self. It's like, and also I think maybe that would kind of like delve into, this is the person behind, the real you, behind all the mask, behind everything. Because I noticed that in deep breathwork sessions in the cold, I'm an old fighter. I still have a little bit of fighting angle mentality when I go in, so I still go in the ice with conditional love, but I try to go unconditional, and I've only been able to do that when I elevate the temperature to about 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. I'm working on 7, 8 now to see, because I want to have, thank you, Joe Rogan, the suck factor. I want to have that reluctancy to go in there. And also when I go in, I need at least 2 or 3 breaths to calm myself on good days. More is better but my aim, because I experienced in the beginning that I'm too old for this. No, my body's not want to be part of this anymore. After I did 3 months of serious practice, training every day, swimming for hours in 14, 12, and 10 degrees Celsius. So I kind of like, for me, ice bath is only a few times a week, but my regular practice is less. And my aim, or my measurement point today, is if I'm still having fun. If I'm playful about it. If it becomes too serious, which it did, it didn't have the outcome for me. And what kind of science can go in and tell about that, about small things like the internal self stuff? It's really, we know a lot, Thomas. You know a lot, and I really love your sharings. And I also follow Andrew Huberman and Susanne Suber. Of course, I also still talk a few times, not a week, but a few times a month. I talk to Wim, because he's kind of like the man behind it all. But he doesn't give up any information because he doesn't want to blur my own experience. That's so clever of him. He doesn't want to give him his experience, because he knows I'm not Wim Hof. And finally, I've understood I'm not Wim Hof. So I can only do it my way. And now I've done it little bit my way together with you, Andre. You did all the way, you did all the credit, but I had the insight. I'm very grateful for that, to get the insight to do what I wasn't able to do and still be able to talk about it and do it with unconditional love for the cause of other people, to know that there are a way. Even though how hard, how dark it is, there's always a way. And just take a cold shower, and then you won't have that mindset for how long, or for that long.
I hate cold showers. They're the worst. They make me angry.
Exactly. That's interesting. Also, that's the point. Andrea, how do you feel about cold shower compared to cold water in immersion, or ice cubes? What's the difference?
Well, of course, like, but it's a bit different, and I understand why, Thomas, you can hate cold shower, because the cold shower is cold, of course, but it's not once, because when you go into the ice, like, your brain is okay, I'm going to the ice, I'm going to the ice water, and it's getting like, okay, I kind of know what's going on, because my whole body is submerged. With that cold shower, it's not all your body who's it's not all your body with
in survival mode.
Yeah, and so it's like before, I'm like, I dance so like a boxer, because things now I'm okay, right? But definitely through breathing and things. But before, the cold shower were really that was awful, man. That's it. Let's be obvious. That was gross, but of course we practice and things, and acceptance. Because like I said again, I don't take things for granted. If I stop doing cold shower in 3-6 months, I will suffer, right? But yeah.
Andre, you have two different types of extreme accomplishments: the running and the cold. But they're very different, because in the running, your body is always moving, whereas in the cold, your job is to sit there and stay. I mean, your body might be shivering, but you're motionless, trapped in the ice. How do they compare mentally when you're doing this sort of ultra long distance run versus this ultra long ice exposure?
Well, the things here is that they have a similarity, they have a resemblance, they look alike, because obviously when you run a marathon, I remember when going through Pennsylvania one day from, I think it was close to somewhere in Pennsylvania, to State College, where actually Justin Rosales is from, when he did his studies, the guy who wrote his book with Become the Iceman, Wim Hof. I did like 357 miles, and it's long and it's painful, and the body is long, it's painful, like, you don't want to cry and stuff, but acceptance. And I tell myself, well, it is what it is for now. You got to do it. You accept it. And with the cold is the same, because the cold after a while, it's like, like you have needles, it's like it's stinging your body and things. But the mission, that those both of these, when I ran across America, I wanted to pay tribute to children refugees, to my father, to pioneers went from east out west, because they were persecuted and things, back in mid 1800s and stuff. And so that things gave me like the acceptance that definitely I accept that is uncomfortable. I'm okay with this, and I tell myself that it works a lot on my humility, being humble and things, not taking things for granted, and you move one step at a time. And I tell myself, like I did video yesterday on Instagram, that it will finish. Pain cannot last forever. It will finish for a while. I reward myself. I do a pre-rewarding that I'm gonna have a lot of cookies, because I love cheap hard cookies, or whatever it is, or that after you're gonna sleep, in a nice warm bed, you're gonna take the warmest, longest shower ever, just because you relax, man. It's okay. You won't last forever. So that self, that self pre-rewarding will help me, and as well the worthy cause, different things here, but it will help me to move, to stay patient and to endure until the end.
The parallels that you draw between these two different types of activities and what they have in common, you keep coming back to the acceptance. It reminds me of an anecdote about the Navy SEAL training, and I wish I could remember the.
Ooh, I love that. I love those guys.
Yeah.
A lot of respect.
Well,
oh yeah.
This author, he'd earned a doctorate, I think it was political science, and he was still just young enough to join the military. He signed up for the BUDS training, and he talked about the one approach that a buddy of his who made it through took. That buddy, in his mind, he said he quit like 5 times a day, because in Navy SEAL training, you can ring a bell on the beach, and that means you quit. You ring out, or you can raise your hand at any moment. You could say, I quit. And this guy, he never raised his hand. He never rang the bell, but he said to his friends, I'm quitting. I'm going to quit this training. But first, we're having cheeseburgers for lunch. And so I want to have lunch, and then I'm going to quit. You know, and he would get to whatever the miserable thing is. And then he would go to lunch, and he would, I don't know what it was. He would just tell himself, I'm going to quit an hour from now. I'm going to quit tomorrow. I'm going to quit tonight. I'm going to quit in the future. He never quit in the present moment. And so he would play a trick with himself. He would say, well, as soon as we're done with this live ammunition, exercise, then I'm out of here. As soon as we're done with this like cold, mud, drowning, sleep deprivation exercise, then I'm going to quit. His quitting was all in the future. And the next thing you know, he graduated. And that was such a clever mental trick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right, and I believe it's really good because, and also, I've been taught to my father, he walked from France to Cameroon to France in the 70s. He swam like 12 hours in deep ocean. He got caught on the boat there. Maybe who knows, one day I would love to like come to the States and I don't know, do an experiments or meet David Goggins or whatever, and be like, hey, buddy, challenging or something, you know what I mean? Or not, whatever, it's a bit of ego talking, which is fun at times. But yeah.
Well, when you do your run this winter, there's going to be a lot of attention on you and this topic of mental health. What's the message that you have? What needs to change in the way that we approach mental health in our Western developed country? We have Denmark, we have Canada, you have the United States. What do you want to say when people are ready to listen?
I mean, what I want to say is to, how can I say this? It's to just, it's okay to be sick because all of us, we live in a world which is really superficial, everything. The next time you hanging out with someone, next time you're going to hear, oh, he jumped off of a bridge or committed suicide. Like, how come? Oh my gosh. I thought that he was so doing good. He was laughing, but internally people are suffering. So it's just to put people out there to the message really that it's okay. It's okay to be sick because all of us, I mean, I don't want to disrespect no one here, but all of us, we're sick to a different level. All of us are sick and we have different traumas from childhood or whatever it is, Some people used to be bullies, or some people used to be because of racism, some people because they were too fat, or some people were because I'm sorry, but some people because they had same-sex attraction, or whatever it is, whatever it is, because we're imperfect being, we're perfect imperfect being. So what I want to really tell is that it's okay, to be who you are, but it's not okay because I'm like that to not make any effort or just to give up. So it's not okay okay, I'm like this, there's nothing I can do, this how I've been, this I am. But it's efforts, putting a bit of efforts through a little bit of efforts, into that gigantic workshop that we want to do probably in a stadium or something like this. A bit of effort every day, one moment at a time, and obviously to the mindset, to the breath work, and to the work, and to the ice bath, a bit of a time. It will help you. So it's to work on acceptance once again. Accept who you are, and try to do the best you can do every day to move forward, and accept it. Because sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, guys. Sometimes I still have a lot of depression. Sometimes I have those dark suicidal thoughts to come, but I'm like, well, you can do that when you have a daughter, and you have things like that, and hopefully one day I want to get married, and yeah, so yeah,
More people, both in science and in the public, are beginning to realize there is a relationship between metabolic health and mental health. So when you fix the metabolism, You give the brain the energy or the power that it needs to do the hard work of staying psychologically resilient, whether that's cognitive reframing or whether that's some of the dialectic behavioral therapy techniques that people are learning to try and manage their low mood and their anxieties. All of that takes energy in the brain. And when your mitochondria aren't right and your metabolism isn't right, the brain can't get the energy that it needs to do that difficult psychological work. So these are people like Chris Palmer, like Ali Houston. They're on social media, thank goodness, because they're spreading the word, that are rooted in the science of metabolism and mental health. You're now famous for two things: running and cold. You're going to combine them. They are both metabolically intense activities that will stimulate mitobiogenesis, that will improve the mitochondrial function. And one of the mechanisms by which they relieve people of a persistent depression is the metabolic or the mitochondrial therapy is also mental health therapy. Has that been something that you experience?
It does, yes, it does. Because like I was saying, back in 2021, I was really low. I was in Chicago, about to go back to France because things didn't work out. Thankfully, my cousin was there, and I was like, what's the point of living? I had the daughter, but I was a bit selfish. I'm like, I started crying. I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of trying. You know, I'm sorry. I was like, F everything, because you know what? Things not working. F everything. Then after I got back there, and I started doing a bit of a. I was like, I'm gonna keep pushing the ice bath to the next level. You know, so definitely, yeah. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Thomas and also Bridger.
The case
Because
studies are really piling up. Vim talks
yeah,
about how the cold saved him from depression.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
talk about it. There are documented case studies of people who are resistant to medication, resistant to, I mean, their depression did not respond to medication, did not respond to talk therapy. And then they did either winter swimming or they did 5 minutes in the ice bath, and it felt like a cloud lifted. Now I
yeah.
have people writing to me saying that they're either tapering off their meds or they have gone cold turkey, and it's a miserable experience, but the ice bath they feel is keeping them sane, whereas the medications and the medical establishment didn't have anything for them.
Yeah, it is sad, and I'm sure that it's not a topic here, but I'm sure you know it's all about money-wise, especially in the States and all over the world. It's like, and then obviously, if you talk to the pharmaceutical industry, sometime it is what it is. Let's not spit on the medication and stuff, because a lot of respect, you know, of course. But I mean, to a lot of extent, we know it's a multi-billion-dollar business, and then of course, if you go to the pharmaceutical, we don't need your medicine anymore. Take an ice bath. They're like, whoa, whoa. Like, what are you doing? You know, you cost us money here, right? So yeah.
Right.
You know?
I think a lot of the pushback that we're seeing against ice baths is motivated by financial interests. It's not in the best interest of the person. It is in the best interest of someone else who wants to continue to sell that person a drug or a remedy, when in fact, the body can heal itself if you give the body and the brain the things it needs.
Yeah, that's good, and that's what Wim Hof talks about too, right? And yeah, that's yeah, for sure. Like, he really helped me, you know, because because even when I was younger, even all the way into the age of 31, I used to scar myself, you know, doing scarification. So I used to say that in how much pain that I was, right? I mean, to give yourself 8 stitches on your own physically, meaning that up there, it was a freaking mess. It was a freaking mess, and definitely that ice bath is a big part. My belief in God and Jesus Christ are for sure like number one. But I believe as well, God and Christ, or the universe, whatever you call it, tell me you need to heal with whatever way there is out there. You know, there's not just pray, bro, please help me. But yeah, sure, I'm gonna help you, but help yourself first. So that's why great discovery in ice bath and breath work helps, and it does, and it did help me. So yeah, you know, for sure.
We have done some studies in Denmark, and Denmark is a small country, and we've done a few studies, but now the chief doctor of University Hospital in Odense is doing a big survey on depression and colds. But I'm like, I'm not going to take anything away from that. It's nice they do trials, but we know this. So excuse me, we know this already. Depression, and I have it. I have it learning because I'm a self-independent man, self-employed in this area, and now it's become massive. 3 years ago, I was the only one in Denmark that was doing breathwork and ice exposure, and people thought I was crazy. But today, it's mainstream, and it's beautiful. There's need to be a little bit more education about what to do and what not to do, how long, how cold, and we could talk about that a little bit because we know a lot, but then we don't know anything because it's only my experience, the individual experience. Andre is a special case. He's pushing it on a different level to create awareness. And I got goosebumps now because being part of that is making my life worth living. When on days when it doesn't feel like it's much worth doing this to help other people. I've been suffering from mental challenges since I was 12 years old, and I didn't succeed in my suicide back then. And that kind of made me realize that that's not an option for me. I have many friends, personal friends, that couldn't hack it and gave up. And I'm kind of like, I'm never going to give up. But I hurt myself for many, many years. I'm still hurt myself. I still don't live with complete unconditional love. But I know without doubt that every time I breathe consciously without having an agenda of holding my breath for so long or breathing like whoever, like Wim Hof or whoever I have as a star or inspiration, when every time I breathe like Berger, I breathe with unconditional love, and I feel it. Every time I go in the cold and I get up when enough is enough, I don't go for shivering. Sometimes I'm thinking about the walls that Andrew Huberman is talking about, and I'm trying to implement that. How many walls, how many times do I want to stay in when I feel like I want to go out? How many steps on the ladder or flights on the cases? Well, how long do I want to go today? When I don't have this pressure, I don't have this time, I know it's unconditional love. And I also know when I'm pushing it, when I want to make other people think I'm better than I am, I want to bullshit myself, then I know it's conditional love. Yeah, and I get sad when I say this because it's so true. I'm not the most loving person towards myself.
You're honest. It's honesty, right? You got to be honest with yourself. Otherwise, you leave you left in a lie. And honesty
yeah, but we all live in a lie. So to some extent, and we lie to each other, and a lot of people make a lot of money off lies. It's just
but I mean, of course, but it's making a concerted effort, like we're saying, going one step at a time. And being honest with yourself as much as you can, because we're imperfect beings, That's just the fact.
But normal out there in the public eye, it's come on. What's conditional love? What's unconditional love?
Yeah,
it's very important. Like the part in you, but really, I'm really looking forward to see that in March in Poland. How you get that out? When I met Wim, I also met Jason and a guy from New Zealand on the first day in Struer in Poland on the first advanced course back in 2018. And I used to live in New Zealand, and so I hooked up with Jason Amawi, and it turned out that he was a 6-time world champion. And when I heard his talk, we all had to give a talk before we were certified, and Wim was there. He was like, it was so obvious to see that what the Wim Hof method has given him, because he had the heart of a lion. He had fought, just check him out. Jason's psycho study. He's a crazy story, the most humble and loving man, but he just wanted to fight the biggest guy and in the world, and he did. And for many, many years. But he said, this have given me the step back in my feet. This is have given me the second youth. This is have given me something that I can deal with whatever he was dealing with, and you can go find out yourself. But we are all dealing, especially people that do extraordinary things. They are dealing with ordinary, challenged internal troubles, like you, like me. I don't know what Thomas, but I know Jason. The higher purpose or the healing purpose, it's the same for me. If I can heal, I know people around will be healed. So that's my world record attempt, is healing myself.
Sure, good.
So that was just my input to my world record. So yeah, so when is enough enough, and how cold you need to go in order to make any difference is a very interesting topic. I can start because I'm not a world champion, I'm not a professor, so I'm just me. And what I've discovered by studying you guys, training with you, Andre, is that 14 degrees is best for recovery. That's what I work with my athlete. 14 degrees, especially in the palms of your hands and in your feet. That gives the best recovery. And 8 degrees, then we'll start I've heard that when the skin temperature gets down to about 10 degrees, the sensory signal to the brain is equally to an electroshock. It's very high current. So you get a kind of a mental reset, and you can feel it when you go in there. You don't think about anything else. So of course, but just by the meditative result or effect, you get a reset. And then we have 4 degrees Celsius, which is defined below that is an ice bath or ice exposure, ice bath. And that comes from the study, I shared it with you, Thomas, a study from Sweden with mice and chemotherapy, where they compared it to how can they installed any kinds of cancer cells and tumors in the brain and in the poor mouse's body. And they exposed them for 20 degrees cold air, 24/7 for 20 days. And 80% of the cancers and the tumors were in remission. And there's no side effects. And they lose weight at the same time. So that's kind of like the numbers I know, and all the rest is just have a go at it. Figure out how it works for you, because it's always the form of the day, the current status of mental and physical state you. So go 2 minutes every day. If you do the same, you won't get the same result. Feel when it's enough is enough. Peace. What do you think, Thomas? You're the clever guy of the three of us.
We get this question a lot. What's the optimal time? What's the optimal temperature? And I finally did a video from my own ice bath saying it's the wrong question. Just like weight training, there's no optimal weight or optimal number of reps that applies to everyone. It depends where are you in your training and what are you working on. And so you design a program that's right for your body and your goals. So yes, different temperatures will cause the body, especially the nervous system, to respond in different ways. But if you're naive to cold training, you will get the same sort of growth experience at a higher temperature than someone who is already cold acclimated. So I tell people when they're starting out, go cold enough to gasp, go long enough to shiver. When you feel the gasp reflex, you know you have activated the sympathetic division of the central nervous system. So you've got that fight or flight response. It is the nervous system that will activate brown fat. When you feel that gasp reflex, you're doing the right thing for your brown fat. And when you're naive to cold exposure, you typically don't have a lot of brown fat. The shivering response in your muscles signals that your body is saying, uh-oh, we've got to recruit more brown fat. You will begin to beige the white fat cells by building new mitochondria in them. So when you're starting out, cold enough to gasp, long enough to shiver is a good rule of thumb that you can stay in touch with. You don't need any sophisticated measurements. You don't even need a timer. You're in touch with your body. But as you become more cold trained, just like as you become more weight trained, you have to make a decision. Am I going to go for more weight? Or that is, am I going to go to a colder temperature and sort of lift to failure or submerge myself to failure? Or am I going to go for a longer time at a warmer temperature, which would be like less weight for more reps?
More reps, yeah.
My preference is colder and shorter. And other people might find that they enjoy the meditative benefits of being in the ice bath, that they enjoy the structured breathing. They want to do 10 minutes. The hydrotherapy is a good benefit for them. Maybe they put some Epsom salt in to get some transdermal magnesium. It is okay after your initial phase of cold training to have different goals from me. But my approach is shorter and colder, because that anxiety that I feel when I'm looking down at my ice bath and I see the chunks of ice floating in there and my brain is saying, I don't want to do it. I could skip a day. That mental challenge of listening to that voice inside my head trying to talk me out of doing the really hard thing, that's what I'm going for. And I don't get that, above
No.
5-6 degrees Celsius. For me, it's boring. So I've got to be down at that 1 or 2 degrees where there is ice floating in the water for me to create that mental victory in the morning.
Mm. I'm glad I don't have that burden anymore. I can go in 14 degrees and have a good time on a bad day. But the thing is, I like that because we are different. We're sitting here with a man that's done the most and a man that knows the most, and just me, whoever I am here in this situation. And we are all different. I love the showers because I'm a fighter. I like to get it in the face. I like to know there's something going on when I sit in the ice bath, in the ice bath, even though it's minus or whatever it is. I get bored. Nothing is happening, and I have to fight with my monkey mind again. And then, of course, I move around. I put my head under. I've acclimatized myself so much because after my initial overdoing, I found out, okay, I want to go as cold. I only had a chest freeze back then, so I only had 0 degrees. So I try to put my head under, and then I could get my skin down within 47 seconds. So less stress, higher output. It was and I can see you go for that as well. So that's kind of like my intuition has said, well, maybe I don't want to go so long because I get tired from it or I'm overdoing it. So maybe go even colder, more shock. So put my head under, hold my breath, head in there, and feel the panic and the stress. And then I go up when enough is enough. So I just want to go for the panic. It happens every time. Even though I'm 100% aware, nothing's going to happen. I can just pop up. I get panic.
Me too.
Yeah, I get panic. And I have a new sponsored cold top, and it starts. I have to put. I'm prototype. It's not a prototype. I'm testing it for the manufacturer. And I told him, you got to put a 5 minutes delay in there when the temperature falls, because when I go in there, I put my hand on it, then the engine starts to run. I get so stressed out of my skull. I want to have a little bit of peace going in there. So, but all these small stress factors, you feel them when you are at the spot, and it's really interesting, and it's fun, and I got the fun back in it. So thanks to Andre to pushing it.
Yeah.
I got the fun back to playing and not having to go for record because Andre has done it. I don't need to do it. So.
That's right.
Yeah, like I have a joke. We all should do an ice bath in liquid nitrogen. That's a stupid joke.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I when I do long talks, I've done that in the beginning. I do long talks in ice tubs. I just put tap water in, and 5 minutes before the talk, we put ice in it. And I bet Wim is doing it as well when he's on his later birthday. He doesn't put ice in from the bottom up because sitting there for like next time it's gonna be 66 minutes. Oh man, Wim, stop it! You're old, man. You can see him; he's freezing and running into the sauna. Don't need to push it anymore, man. You've done it all, man. You have done. Let the young guys take over now.
Oh no, I've got a lot left to do.
How cool! Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I believe it's 30 days. You know, we're on Earth. You know, we have a beautiful experience. It's two experiencing. So this record, you know, it's gonna cover this winter with my friends. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be for good cause. And then afterwards, it's gonna be another record. It's probably go to a mountain in like maybe Mount Denali in Alaska or Canada or South America and do it. Let's say I would like to do toujours for good causes, right? Always for good causes. To do push-up records, going there with clothes. But when I'm on the top, take off my clothes, only wearing my shorts on boxes or whatever, and do like a push-up record there at like let's say above like 18. If above 20,000 or 22,000 feet, you know, why not do that in Dev Zone or something? So, you know, we'll always keep pushing those records. And you know what? Those records as well, before it's a lot about the ego, but now it's more about, it helps me as well to stay mentally sane. You know, it helps me in my everyday life. You know, so yeah. And it's, I'm saying this because to everybody, whatever can help you, if you find little things like this, it can help you as well to, you know, to have a good life, to have a okay life, to keep enjoying life, and yes, you know, all of us here. And of course, meanwhile, as well, it's enjoying the process as well, right? Because it's good to have a goal. The problem with me that because even in about 2020, part of it is that all the adrenaline goes, and you see a lot of like pro athletes after this, they become even fat or they have addiction or whatever because the brain is like adrenaline junkie, like I am, and you fiend for something, right? You fiend for something. You're like, where can I get it? Where can I get it? But I believe it's also really important to really accept the mentality of enjoying the process while you do your cause. That's what I say, chase really cause, enjoying the process, enjoying the journey.
Having fun
because
alone. Yeah.
Because tomorrow we might be not there tomorrow. Because one day they won't be there anymore. But it's really about enjoying the process. Have a balance. Because of course, having a goal, having something. If you just I want to get to my goal, it becomes obsessed. And when you get to your goal, so what? Because when you get to the goal, that dopamine release in your brain and in your body will be for I did it. Oh, cool. Then so what afterwards, right? So
then
it's really about I believe enjoying the journey and the goal. It's it's a balance with each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to meet you both and to talk with you for this time. Berger, if you wouldn't mind posting the recording someplace where I can download it. I'd love to go over it again and maybe pull some clips that we can put up on Instagram.
Yes, I will do that. And we all do that, and we share, of course. And
for sure.
I will stop the recording a little while. Is there let's stop with just a good advice or what? Just open up. Andre, do you have anything left to say?
Well, what I have to say is to people, go look inside yourself. Go look inside a younger version of yourself and the dream that you had in your younger version of yourself, right? And think about it and do something about it. That's what I will say.
Cool. Thomas, do you have a good advice to listeners?
I just posted a video that said there is no advice that is any good to anybody except that which starts with, this is what worked for me. You have to run all of your own experiments in your own life. When you find people whom you admire, maybe they face something similar or analogous, you can ask them, what worked for you or what didn't work for you? But the people who say, well, you should do this, you should do that, those people, they're not really thinking about you. They may say they have your well-being in mind, but you are the only arbiter of what is working for you. They can only say what has worked for them. And that's the kind of advice to keep an ear out for. Absolutely.
And I like the weight training comparison. I compare this to training. What would you have done if you were running? 1 time a week, you get sore all the time, especially if you're over 30. Twice a week, you might maintain your strength. 3 times a week, then you progress. Why should an iceberg? I've been completely, because my logo is an iceberg to be drawn at the moment. So that's maybe I have that in mind. But an iceberg, cold exposure or breathing, it's all about experience. So yeah, and my final words would be, of course, thank you very much for joining me. And we're going to be working on from this. Hopefully, Thomas, I'm going to talk to you again because it's been really nice to have you in person. I've seen all your videos and I love the approach because it's so straight to the point. And you have the steps you've been taking to gather people that know something about the coal, even from the East, the science from the East, taking that in, because Stanislav Grof and Stanislav Buteyko, the mother and father of breathwork in the Western world, there must also be some cold specialists from Russia, from Czech, which we should gain some experience from. And and the cold shower works. We all have just signed in on that. The cold shower works, and it's always cold, even in summer, anywhere, if you go into it. And yeah, remember that the solution is always available anywhere, anytime. It's just in the end of your nose and your mouth. Start breathing. It won't be the solution for everything, but it'll always be the place to start. So
Sure.
inspirational.
Thomas, yeah,
Thomas,
Thomas. Sorry, I would like to keep in touch with you, Thomas. Maybe like, can you send me a contact, or Bridger, can you send me his contact or something?
I'd be happy to. I think
Yeah,
I'm
of course.
following